All right, so I hadn't made a video in a while. Nothing really to note. Let me turn this down. So let me tell you my dilemma here. So I got this all fixed and painted. I'll hold the camera right. You see the back bracket I brought. Right here it says Big Block Chevy Power Steering Pump Bracket, short pump. Okay. That's what I have, short pump. It's 5 3/4 inches to out here basically. And so I have the short pump. My alternator was right there. My power steering, because my big block here didn't have power steering when it was in my Camaro, so I had to convert it basically. So what I did was I took the one off off this basically, and bought a new outer deal, put all new O-rings and everything in it. And so this is supposed to be the difference between the big block, so it kind of reroutes this return line, my understanding. Okay, well here's the problem. So when I put this in there, it basically fits. But when I had, let me back up a second. What did I do with my, oh, here it is. Okay, so there's my alternator down there. Well, it's got this big gaudy bracket on it that bolts over here, comes around, does all this stuff. And you can kind of see it down there. Well, when I went to put my power steering in, or pump in, it won't fit. It's hitting the bracket. So I was like, all right, I got to looking online and everything. And it's like, guys that have power steering over here, it looks like they end up having to put their alternator on the other side, which is fine because that balances things out. You got your power steering over here, you got your, it kind of looks decent, whatever. But I've got one of these old, it's not a one-wire setup. It's got the, I forgot what that little box is called right there. But anyway, it's got that. And so to move it over there, I'm probably going to have to change some stuff. So this is turning into a bigger deal than I thought it was going to be. The reason I did this, the reason I stopped working the Camaro, because when I was pulling this out, I've got that, I think I told you this in the last video, I got that tiny steering wheel. Well, I'm using, it's just hard to turn this big heavy thing with no power steering. So I thought, well, I'll just hook the power steering pump back up real quick, no big deal. It'll take an hour. Well, no, nothing takes an hour for me. So yeah, so my question is, so when I put that on there, here, let's just show you if I can do this with one hand without dropping something, and hold the camera right and all that. So when this goes down here like it's supposed to, and that's about as close as I'm going to get it, you can see how far off, maybe you can, this pulley is way far out. So it's not going to line up with any of my pulleys. Now I got two pulleys on the crankshaft, and I got two pulleys on the water pump, but this one's out like another full pulley. All right, so I went to a place called Grand Prix Auto here in Tulsa, and I showed the guy what I have, and he said, no, that's that's not for your application. That's what he said it was for. I think he said it's for a long water pump. That's what he told me. And I'm like, man, it says right on the thing it's for short pump. He said, yeah, but they made a mistake or whatever. It's not right. Well, to me, I'm like, it would be right if I had like another pulley, and I was thinking about the water pump pulley. And then before I left, the guy said, hey, he said, I just thought about something. He said a lot of big blocks have three pulleys or three grooves down here. He said you might look at getting one of those. Well, I got online looking, all they have is aluminum. I haven't been able to find one that's got just like that's got three grooves. So what I'm thinking about having to do is, and this is where I'm asking advice, is buying like a whole setup basically of all aluminum pulleys for this that match, and then thinking about having to buy a one-wire alternator to switch over there, because this line is not going to go over there far enough. This is an old one. I don't remember how many amps it puts out, but it's not like the new ones where they have 100 amps or whatever. So basically, I'm trying to figure out what I've done wrong here. What's the difference, other than maybe, like he said, this bottom pulley needs a third row that would actually work that way. And I've seen multiple different setups. He said I needed a little J bracket down here, just a little J. He said because that one is wrong. Well, I've already bought it. I can't send it back. I've already taken it out. I guess I could try to get a hold of these people, Rev Max or whatever, street rods, but I've had this for God knows how long. This is done. It does work. I actually got it to work, got all the balls back in. It's all working, everything's good. But I had to order this plug here because it's cast aluminum. So when I went to take it out with my impact, I tried first without the impact. No way, it wasn't moving. Hit it with the impact, and you see what happened. So ultimately, all I have to do here is put that plug back in, put that in back in, and I'm done. Got my O-rings in, everything's resealed, made it move back and forth. It's good. So that's ready to go. So I thought, well, I'll just do this and get it ready to go, and I'll be, get it done. Got that ready. So I'm ready. Oh, and then my lines here. These lines are jacked. They're just tore to pieces. So went and bought one of these. It's the exact same. That's good. This one here, it's hard to find this piece right here exactly. This you can see here is just gone from my return line. So that's just a line. I'm gonna say that's just the, you call it power steering pump line, or maybe it's 3/8 fuel line. I don't know if these are the same thing or not. But I'm thinking I can clean this little deal up and just reuse that instead of buying another whole full one like this. So if you guys have any ideas about this old Chevy big block stuff, and I'd like to get just one pulley, a black pulley. Well, I say that, I still have to buy an alternator set up for the other side of the engine. Is there another way that I can use this alternator setup and keep everything over here and save money? Because at the point I'm at right now, I'm gonna spend well over $100 for a one-wire alternator. I'm gonna spend quite a bit of money on a whole pulley system. This, like I said, I just was trying to get this running. I would have never done this had I known it was gonna cost this much money. I was gonna have to cut the firewall. I was gonna have to do all the modifications that I did. The clutch, all the stuff, but I did it. I got so far in that I couldn't, at that point, I'm like, man, I'm too far in. I can't back out now. And so got it running and everything. And then, okay, here I am again with the power steering pump, and I'm like, crap. Now I'm gonna have to revamp the whole setup here. So if you guys got any advice for me on that, or maybe where somebody has one of those free groove pulleys for the crankshaft, that'd be a lot of help. Otherwise, I'm gonna end up, changing some stuff on this and having to spend quite a bit of money. So that's where I'm at. I've been waiting on parts. These parts just came in today. Still waiting on that plug to come in. It's supposed to be here today. So I'm hoping to get this wrapped up fairly quickly. I bought a pulley puller to pull this off because I thought I was gonna have to, I was in it putting a aluminum one on. And I thought if this thing comes back here then that would work. If the aluminum, well, they don't make them that way for that pump. According to the guy at Grand Prix, he's like, no, that pulley's what you got. You can get it in aluminum, but that's pretty much gonna be in the same spot. So his ultimate fix was to buy a whole new one of these. Well, that was expensive. So he said buy a little J or whatever that goes down there. Well, I can do that if that's gonna save me a whole bunch of money. But yeah, that's a nice piece. I'd like to use that. Another thing on this piece that kind of irritates me is this right here. So they send it out with these, and they say this is supposed to basically go in here like this. Well, these are all the way in as far as they'll go, right there. Oh, I got like 1-2 threads. There's no freaking way that's gonna mount into my block. So that right there Tells me they either didn't machine it deep enough on this part. Sorry, this part here is not machined deep enough, or they just gave me the long enough bolts, because these bolts should be another quarter, half-inch out, I would think. So I can't use it with these spacers unless I get different bolts, and these are pretty nice bolts. That's gonna fall, I knew it would. Yeah, they're hex head, whatever. I don't know what grade they are exactly, but anyway, I make this video way longer than I probably should have, but I was kind of give you an idea of what I'm dealing with right now. And it's just this little stuff that's keeping me held up. I'm like, man, I really want to get back on this. But now that I've had a squirrel moment and decided I was going to do this to make things easier on me backing in and out, now this thing is stuck here. So I have no room for activities. Like, I can't, you know what I mean? It's like, okay, I've used my space, because this was supposed to be pulled in and out. Anyway, so, and also my lift is leaking. I took it apart earlier. When I had that out, you can see it's bleeding from up there. I'm gonna take this back apart, figure out what's going on, because when I run this up, it'll go all the way to the top, and eventually it'll just slowly leak down, and then it catches right there. I don't have a whole lot of weight on it, but I gotta fix that. I gotta figure out where the leak's coming from and why, and it's coming out of that bolt area right there, and I think a little bit out of that bolt area as well. So whatever's behind that, I've already tightened those in there up. So it's got to be something up in the cylinder there, or there's also a line that runs, a return line that runs back in there. It goes all the way to the top. That return line may be leaking, so that could turn into a project. It's like, dang. And this, I have to have this lift. It's just, I mean, it's one of my best tools that I have in my shop. I've most used and everything else, so I'm gonna have to tear that down. So anyway, not trying to be a negative Nancy, but it's like a lot of little stuff keeps happening to keep me from actually progressing on with this. And right now I've got this stuff that I'm dealing with, waiting for parts and trying to figure out, okay, this is the wrong part, I need this part, and so anyway, that's it, guys. Everything's good other than that. I hope you guys are all good, and I'm gonna end it at that. And I appreciate anything you guys can tell me on some of this old stuff. Maybe that's the wrong pulley for this. Maybe that's supposed to have a three pulley for a big block, but I don't know. I don't know what all they've changed on this motor, But so anyway. Oh, also one thing I looked at is on these. I'm gonna make this short, right? I noticed that on the Blazers they have a, what would you call that? A pump that comes over here. I don't know the word for that. It's not actually on the same. Actually, it has a pump with a hose that runs to it, and then it has a reservoir up here or somewhere in here. I noticed that on some of the Blazers. So that looks like what they did from the factory for the Blazers, and that would probably fix my issue, but then I have to find that. Okay, good luck with that, and do that whole setup. So I'm just looking for the easiest, quickest fix here so that I can get this thing running and in and out with power steering, and not have to fight this thing like tooth and nail, just getting it in and out of here. So, all right, guys, we'll talk to you later.